Retired New York Giants quarterback Eli Manning's rookie season began much like that of Jaxson Darts. How did he handle it and what went on behind the scenes? We're going to find out coming up on today's bonus edition of Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, New York Giant fans, and welcome to a bonus edition of the Locked On Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every day. I'm your host, Patricia Traina, credential member of the New York Giants media, or Locked On, as well as for New York Giants on SI, which is where you can find all my written work. And as always, we welcome on in our Blue Crew community members, our everydayers, our newcomers, and everybody in between. And we thank you so much for spending part of your day with us here on the Locked On Giants podcast. And on today's show, we're going to kick things off with a look at the Giants injury report. I want to talk specifically about Andrew Thomas. So we're going to get that out of the way. But then coming up in the balance of the show, we're going to hear from retired Giants quarterback Eli Manning. Now, this is an exclusive interview that I did on Friday with Eli. It was part of a marketing promotion, which he'll also talk about in the interview. But primarily, I asked Eli Manning about his time as a rookie quarterback, because for those of you who remember, or maybe you don't remember, when Eli came to the Giants via trade from the San Diego Chargers, as they were known back in the day, Eli sat for most of his rookie season. I think he was inserted 9 games into the season, if I remember correctly. So I talked to Eli about that experience and, you know, what he learned. Is it beneficial? We talked a little bit about Jaxson Dart, and we also touched a little bit on the Giants defense and the current state of the team overall. So that interview is going to be coming up, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that when we get to that. But before we get there, I want to start off by talking about the Giants injury situation. Now, for those who haven't heard, Andrew Thomas, as of Friday, was listed as doubtful for the game against the Commanders. And if you've been listening to the show and you've been reading me over on New York Giants on SI, you know I've been saying that I highly doubted Andrew Thomas is going to play this week. And I still, you know, with a 25% chance of playing, as comes with the doubtful designation, Andrew Thomas isn't playing, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be James Hudson who is going to get the start. He's the guy who's been there at left tackle all season long. Now, here's what I am concerned about with Andrew Thomas. All right. Initially, I would have said, if I had to take a guess as to when Andrew Thomas would start to play, I would have said week 3. I don't think he plays next week either. Now, here's what I'm concerned about, though. Andrew Thomas made it known to The Athletic that he had a second procedure done on his surgically repaired foot to remove the screw. Thomas, who, you know, bless his heart, he is so forthright and honest about his situation. You know, none of this bravado about, oh, you know, I'm going to be okay, like a lot of players do. He's honest. And he spoke to the media yesterday, Friday, and he sounded iffy. You know, a question of, okay, is the soreness good soreness or is it bad soreness? And kind of reading between the lines, I almost got a sense that some of the soreness he's still experiencing is of the bad variety, which to me would mean, I wonder if he's going to be ready for next week against Dallas. All right. Now, here's what I think needs to happen for Andrew Thomas to get on the field. He's got to go at least one day where he makes it through and there's no issues. Okay. They backed off of him after having him practice on Wednesday. They backed off on him on Thursday. He said that was part of the plan, but he's got to start stringing together consecutive days where, you know, he's getting at least limited snaps, if not full snaps. My concern, and I don't want to be an alarmist here, but given that he had a second procedure in April, and those procedures can sometimes take up to a year for somebody to feel really like themselves, and especially the heavier you are, the more likely, you're going to put stress on that foot. I just hope Andrew Thomas is going to be okay. I think it would be catastrophic if they have to go through the season without him. That's not a slight against James Hudson, who would have to step in there. But now, you've got James Hudson. And if heaven forbid something happens to James Hudson, now you've got to go with Marcus Bowe, who, although impressive, he's still a rookie. So suddenly that left tackle position, in my opinion, becomes a little bit concerning. And I just hope that this plan that the Giants medical staff has Andrew Thomas on in these last few weeks, I hope it works out. The Giants, I get asked this a lot. The Giants medical staff is very conservative when it comes to injuries. They would rather err on the side of caution than push a guy out there and risk a re-injury. That is where they're at with Andrew Thomas. They are erring on the side of caution. All right. Because if he goes out there and something breaks again, or something gets sprained, or something doesn't feel right, now guess what? All that rehab he did the last few months goes down the toilet. They don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. So to me, it would not be a surprise if Andrew Thomas sits out the first 2 weeks. He's not playing tomorrow. I'm pretty confident in saying that. I don't think you need to rush him out there for Dallas, especially after Dallas traded away Micah Parsons. I just don't think it's, imperative that he's out there. Now, do I think it's imperative that maybe he get out there for the Kansas City Chiefs in week 3 and then the Chargers in week 4 and so forth? Yes. Could I see a scenario where maybe the Giants spot relieve him? In other words, they play him week 3, play him week 4, maybe back off in week 5 or something like that? Possibly. Do I see a scenario where Thomas rotates with James Hudson? Thomas was asked about that. He said it hadn't been discussed, but given his preference, he would rather not go that route as to not disrupt the continuity on the offensive line. So overall, folks, it's a big concern because Andrew Thomas is the Giants' best offensive lineman. And if he's not out there, they could probably get by for a game or two. Could they get by for an entire season? I would question that. And, it's interesting. They restructured Andrew Thomas's contract, which I kind of knew they were going to do, but I was hoping they wouldn't, given the injury situation. But here we are. So let's just hope for the best and that, the medical staff's plan, like I said, works out and Andrew Thomas is good to go, preferably by week 3. Obviously the sooner the better, but you don't want to rush him out there. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed on that situation. All right, Giant fans, coming up next, my exclusive interview with Eli Manning, retired Giants quarterback. So please don't go anywhere. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. The NFL regular season is here, as is college football. So whether you've got your eye on a big name quarterback or a breakout running back, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in the game. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. I've used PrizePicks for a while now, and I love how simple it is. The flex play option is a total game changer. Even when one of your picks misses, you still can double your money. And PrizePicks puts their members first. So with all withdrawals, you get them fast, safe, and secure. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, run your game. This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not about just playing the game, it's about redefining it. Because these moments do more than win. They push what's possible. They remind us to go that extra yard, shift into that extra gear, and keep moving the game forward. And this year, the New York Giants are counting on quarterback Russell Wilson to move the Giants offense, which last year ranked near the bottom of the league scoring wise, forward. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, Giant fans, welcome back to this special bonus edition of the Locked On Giants podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Traina, and make sure you keep it here all week long. We have more episodes coming for you. We'll have the recap on the New York Giants, Washington Commanders Week 1 opener. And then also on Thursdays, don't forget to check out the all-new Giants Squad Show hosted by Jay Berman. The panel features yours truly and former New York Giants cornerback Mark Collins. All right. We had our first episode last Thursday and it was a pretty good one. So do check that out if you get some time. All right. Now, coming up, we have my exclusive interview with retired New York Giants quarterback Eli Manning. All right. Now, due to some technical issues that I had on my end, my camera did not work. So it was agreed that we would only play the audio of the interview with Eli Manning. So I apologize. I'm going to put up a little audiogram for you so you have something moving if you're watching on YouTube. But the interview is there in its entirety. And basically, we're going to just kick things off. And Eli was fantastic, as he always is with me. So I do appreciate Eli, taking a few minutes. He is promoting something special in this interview. The Athletic has unveiled 32 NFL related connections puzzles, and he's going to tell you all about it. It's a fun puzzle. I do it every day. I love connections. I do the New York Times connections. I do the Athletics connections. And I've even tried doing the NFL connections, which are a lot of fun. So Eli's going to tell you about that a little later on in the interview. But first, we're going to talk about, obviously, Eli's time as a rookie quarterback, what he remembers. He sat for a while, kind of like what Jaxson is going to have to do. And Eli's going to kind of just share that experience, what went on, what he learned, the benefits. And then we'll talk a little bit about the Giants as a whole. So I hope you enjoy that interview. And again, apologies that I don't have video for you if you're watching on YouTube, but I hope you enjoy it all the same. So here it is, Eli Manning, ladies and gentlemen. Eli, thank you as always for joining me. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Oh, thank you. This is always fun, and look forward to the conversation.
Yeah, same here. All right, Eli, before we get into a special connection that you have set up for the coming season, I want to get your take on the New York Giants because, you are the epitome, the face of the Giants. And I'd like to start off by talking about the quarterback situation. Now, you, of course, way back in the day, about 5 years ago, I think it was, right? Give or take. You were a rookie once, and you went through the process of, acclimating through to the NFL level and whatnot. And you sat for, I think, half of your rookie season, if I'm not mistaken. Can you just give us a little bit of insight into what goes on behind the scenes? Because there's no substitute for live reps. So how does a young quarterback kind of, get ready and acclimated to the speed of the game and the tricks that defenses like to play?
Well, I think the Giants are in a good situation right now because you have a veteran like Russell Wilson who's coming in. He's won games. He's won championships. He's been successful for a long time, and so he can come in and just hopefully get off to a fast start and help the team get off to a fast start and play at a high level early on. And I think it's also a great opportunity for a young quarterback and Jaxson to just see how the New York reacts to everything that happens over the course of a season or a few games. How does the media react? How does the team react when you win a game? How does the team react or media react when you lose a game? And just so you're not the one thrown in for the first time and just think, oh, this is all because of my play. It's just like, no, this is just New York. Things are different. You're going to be in the spotlight no matter what's going on. There's going to be a story written about anything. And so just how to handle the highs and lows and to sit back and see how Russell handles that situation a little bit. I think is great just for the kind of the confidence and just to understand the magnitude of what's going on. And I think that was beneficial for me. And I think the ideal plan is for Russell to play this whole season, for Jaxson to get a redshirt year and to watch. And that means, the team's playing well and they're winning games, and that's the goal. But if there's opportunities for Jaxson to get in there at different moments and just understand, the game plan, understand what plays he likes, understand the speed and how fast you got to make decisions, that would be beneficial as well.
Eli, it's been said that the offense that Jaxson ran at Ole Miss was kind of a quote unquote specialty type of offense, a unique type of offense. Having, knowing what you know about Ole Miss, that offense, the Giants, what they run now, is there really that big of a gap to jump from what they did at Ole Miss to what the Giants are doing?
Well, I think you see nowadays in the NFL that a lot of these coordinators are pulling, things from college, and that hey, a lot of these, obviously all these guys have been through college, they've been running that offense. Those are things they're comfortable with. So I think they can pull plays that he's comfortable with, or things, whether it's protections or different concepts. Hey, we want to get stuff similar to that because that's what he's going to be most comfortable running. If you all of a sudden you just throw out 25 new passing plays that he's running for the first, second, third time in his career, he's not going to be as comfortable with those things. So I think you got to be smart about that. Obviously, you got to have your core packages and plays that you've been running, you believe in, but you also got to listen to the quarterback and understand these are the things they're working. I'm sure they're doing the same thing with Russell Wilson, who's had success over these years. There's certain concepts where he just has hundreds, if not thousands, of reps on these concepts and seated versus every blitz and every coverage and every look, where he has a game plan. He knows what to do. And so you want to run those plays that the quarterbacks are comfortable with and that, are similar to the plays that you have in your offense.
Eli, just going back again to your rookie season, what was the one aha moment, the piece of advice that kind of eased the transition in terms of, you're a competitor, you want to be out there, you want to start, you want to take charge, but you had to be patient. So what kind of, calmed you a little bit, if you will, for lack of a better term, to just be patient, let the process play out?
Well, I think just to watch, I think it was beneficial for me to watch Kurt Warner, who was the starting quarterback at that time, and just see, how he communicated with the offensive coordinator on what plays he liked specifically this week because of what the defense is doing. What are some of, just kind of, hey, what are our answers if they go all out blitz? Hey, what are our red zones if they do this? Just the questions he asked so they get on the same game plan. How he handled just, drawing up plays, the preparation of watching film, sitting in there and just kind of hearing him talking, ask him questions. Those are all, were so beneficial to me, to seeing someone live who's, won Super Bowls, been successful, and just the week in, week out routine that they had was so beneficial and helpful for me, and just prepared me for when I did, get into action.
Also, I think as was the case with you, Jaxson, for when he eventually does play, he has a lot of veteran teammates around him with the offensive line, the receivers, now with the running backs. Can you just talk a little bit about how each of those position groups can help a young quarterback settle in, get into a groove?
Yeah, I think it's always, super important for any young player, but especially at the quarterback position, as you come in, to try to earn the respect of your teammates. And that's through your hard work, through your practice habits, through your film study, through, showing that you're tough, you can handle everything, you can handle the hits, you can, you're going to know the offense so well that when they tell you, hey, you got to do this a little bit better, that they know you're right and you're on the same page. And so I think you gotta earn that respect before you can be that leader. And I think, you kind of see Jaxson, going out there and doing that, and, building a connection with the receivers, with the offensive line, just being one of the guys hanging out with them and having lunch with them, doing all those little things. So you have a great connection. And when there's time that, hey, we got to get serious and we got to have this talk and you got to do this for me, you've earned that respect, and that's when it's helpful. And you're not dishing out stuff through the media, but doing that in-house and right in person. And so I think it's something that I think he's worked on and been conscious of and done a good job so far.
Hey, Giant fans, the weekend is here, and it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks that save you more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered the most. Let's break it down. For the New York Giants, was there any question that last year receiver Malik Neighbors delivered time and delivered in a big way? Neighbors was a bright spot amongst the dismal 2024 campaign, and with his rookie campaign under his belt, Neighbors is ready to deliver again for Big Blue in a big way. And just like Malik Neighbors delivered for the Giants, DoorDash delivers for you on your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it all up all season long, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday and keep the streak alive. Fuel your game plan only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period ends on November 18th. All right, Giant fans, we continue our exclusive interview with Eli Manning. And Eli, I want to talk about the Giants defense really quick before we get into the big connections that you have. But first off, with that Giants defense, I know it's different for every coach, every team, but how much does the defense actually throw in plays during the course of practice to help a young quarterback get ready? Or is it pretty much, at least in your experience, is it pretty much, let's just worry about the opponent and, we'll worry about the other thing later?
Yeah, I think the defense during training camp, they're going out there and you're going against the first defense or second defense, and they're doing their base plays or they're doing their concepts that have different blitzes, so they're competing as you get through the work week. It's more like the scout team is set up to try to help the help the starting offense. And so, for this week, hey, that scout team, Russell's getting most of the reps as the backup. You don't get many reps. I don't know what the game plan is this week, but you might get, 1 or 2 reps a period. So you might get 6 total reps in a practice with kind of the starting offense. And, you just got to get mental reps. You got to watch the film. A lot of your reps as the backup is you're running the scout team. Your job is to get the defense prepared for this upcoming game. And so, Jackson's playing, Jaden Daniels right now to try to get them prepared. And so, that's his job this week, and you just got to get mental reps and do whatever you can to get the team prepared to play against a good offense.
And Eli, just one last question on the Giants defense before we get into connections. What do you see from that defense? A lot of talk has been made about the defensive pass rush, the front in particular. Do you think that this defense is, can be as good as everybody is talking about?
Well, you hope so, and obviously. For a pass rush to be super effective, it's helpful if you have a lead and you're up in games and teams are forced to throw it, and you can get them into second and longs and third and longs, and those are opportunities where they got to show up and get pressure on the quarterback and get hits on him, so he's throwing the ball too soon, and that'll help the defensive backs. They don't have to cover as long and get some plays or get some hopefully some interceptions and create those big turnovers. So I'm excited, excited for the start of the season. There's a lot of positive energy and enthusiasm around the Giants right now. So hopefully they can keep it going.
All right. So we're talking with Eli Manning, one of the last great connections to the Giant teams of the early 2000s, 2010s and whatnot. And speaking of connections, Eli, let's talk about connections. The Athletic has a brand new feature. Well, actually, it's not kind of brand new. It's in celebration of the NFL season starting this month, the Connections game. And for those who are not familiar with it, it's a game I love. I play it every day, and I've already played some of the NFL versions of it. You pick 4 teams or 4 things out of a list of 16, and you have to establish what the connection is between the 4. And of course, the Giants featured in it. And Eli, you're featured in the connections for the Giants version. Can you just talk a little bit about the whole concept and what you like about the game?
Yeah, so I've been a big fan of the New York Times and the Athletic. I think they do a great job of their insights on sports, and been a big fan of some of the games and so excited that the Athletic is kind of has this 32 NFL team specific puzzles on Connection Sports Edition, and to really kind of test in this market, the New York Giants market, on, hey, how well do you really know the history of this organization? I think it's a great way to get fans excited about the upcoming season, but all 32 teams and their fan base, to get them see how well they know their history of the team, and so I think it was fun. It was fun playing the game. I played a few of the other teams as well, but on the Giants one, it was kind of tricky. There was a few options I thought it could have gone with some of the players at the end. I don't want to give too many hints because I want the fans out there to give it a shot on their own. But just a big fan of the games on the New York Times. Play Wordle. My mom was a big fan of the crossword puzzle. She actually takes a picture every time my name is in some of the answers. Eli's, I think, a popular name to get some of the short answer. We get some vowels in there, so which is always fun. But I get a few of those from my mom and a few other fans and friends. But just I think it's a great way to get fans excited about the upcoming season and test out their knowledge of their favorite team.
All right, Eli, I'm going to put you on the spot here because I know you didn't write the Giants connection that's currently on the Athletic, but give me your four person or four member or whatever, your connection if you were doing a Giants connection.
Ooh, I would go, maybe I would say, I would probably do something, like, Lawrence Taylor. I would do Harry Carson. I would do Carl Banks, and I would do Steve Diassi. Throw that in there. Just a mix of others. But that would be kind of a starting linebacker crew for the New York Giants in the 80s, from outside to inside linebackers. That would be in the mix of 16 amongst other Giants references.
See, when you first started off that list, I would have said, ooh, Hall of Fame Giant linebackers. And then you threw those curveballs in there.
I throw some like different stadiums, hey, Polo Grounds, Yankee Stadium, MetLife, Giant Stadium. So you kind of have different venues they played in. So all different, a lot of stuff on just the history of such a great organization.
What about for your offensive line? Would you have one for them?
Yeah, I think you could definitely do, get a Sean O'Hara and Chris Snee and Kareem McKenzie and Dave Deal, maybe Richie Sorbert. Now you put me on the spot. I got to name like all my offensive linemen. I think you pick four. There's 5 offensive linemen, and now you got to pick 4 on a 16-year career. You put me in a tough spot.
But hey, listen, somebody's going to get left off, but they'll probably razz you if you leave them off. You know how those guys are.
Yeah.
Maybe O'Hara would forgive you if you left him off. You've seen him a lot.
I think you can leave O'Hara off. He's fine.
All right, Eli, appreciate your time. You can check out the Sports Connections, the NFL edition. It's on The Athletic, which is part of the New York Times. Eli Manning, thank you so much for your time today. It's always good to see you, and hope to see you again soon down the line. All right, Giant fans, that wraps up our exclusive interview with Eli Manning. I do hope you enjoyed it, and please check out The Athletic's Connections, the New York Times' Connections, all their great games, but especially the 32 NFL puzzles. I think you'll find them a lot of fun and very challenging, I might add. So do check that out. Thanks to Eli Manning. Thanks to you for tuning into this special bonus edition of Locked On Giants. I'll see you again, folks, after the game.